So recently, Bitwig released this thing called Spectral Suite, and it's been a bit of a fiasco. Um, and I want to cover it a little bit because I haven't seen any of the YouTubers who usually cover Bitwig stuff. They tend to have a bit of a relationship with the company and can't give full, journalistic integrity on the situation. Not that I'm really a journalist or anything, but I feel like they don't really say both sides very well. And so I kind of want to try and take this from both sides a little bit, explain what's happening. Bitwig released Spectral Suite, which is a set of plugins that are native to Bitwig that you pay extra for and that don't come with the upgrade plan, which is usually how you get stuff with Bitwig. You pay for a year-long upgrade plan. Everything they release, you get to have it, except for these things. And what defines these as being separate from the other plugins that come with the upgrade plan is that they decide to charge for them. There is no way to tell. So people are upset and talking about it a lot and really not happy with Bitwig and have lost a lot of faith in them. Bitwig's response on this is that the intention was to save people money. Why should they be charging people for things they don't need? And giving the benefit of the doubt for a moment, like, if that was the way to do it, should that be the way to do it? I think that's really nice. I don't like paying for things I don't use. I think most people agree with that concept. It's not really seeming like that's their intention. This doesn't seem like they're trying to, like they were like, oh, we're overcharging people. Here's a way we could charge them less. It's very much feeling like a way to charge them more. A couple things that make that stand out being that, like, if they were going to do this, and just from a marketing perspective, it used to be $139, then it was $99, now it's $79. That's not a great way to make that pill go down. Just from like a marketing, knowing what you're doing, I would never have suggested to someone to release it at this price point. If it was like $20, I don't think people would have been nearly as mad. So, it's a little expensive, and it's not really feeling like it's cheaper than anything. It's feeling like it's going to cost people more money in the end, and that's probably the point. Also, on top of that, they're saying this is for like things that people will only be occasionally used, and what they ended up releasing was some of the coolest and most useful things that they've released in a long time. And I think it's specifically because these are the things they think people will pay for because people want them, right? Like, when they do this add-on thing, it changes their economic model such that the more useful a thing is, the more likely they are to charge extra for it, because that's something people are going to pay for because they want it. So the economic model, there's like there's a dissonance there between the economic model and what they're saying they're trying to do. In terms of what was released, these things are really cool. Transient split, amazing for drums. You can mess with the timbre of your transient separate from the timbre of your tone, which means that a lot of times you actually want to add effects to one and not the other. And we don't really think of that because we don't have the tool for it, but when you really think about it, if you want your thing to pierce more, you probably just want your transient to have a bunch of distortion on it and not the entire sound. Frequency split is just seemingly cool for making your sounds evolve a little bit more and have a little bit be less static. The loudness split, though, this is the one where I feel like perhaps they don't know what they're sitting on here, but this is one of the most useful mixing and mastering additions I can imagine. Like, this is up there with compressors and limiters, in my opinion, because it splits your sound into 3 sections. The part of the sound that defines it, that your ear hears loudest and goes, hey, I know that sound. That's a thing that I can hear and follow. Like, that's generally, sounds are defined by their loud parts generally. And then the kind of mids, which give it body and realism. And then the quiet part, which is also part of it. But like, if you're in a full mix, you can pretty much cut out the quiet part entirely without, like if you look at the sound, all of this quiet part is going to fall below the frequency response in every single channel that's built up of all the other things. Like a hi-hat would cover this up entirely, right? So you don't need it there. You don't need, that's headroom you don't need to waste at all. Like this thing, I would put it on every track, every bus, and then like probably on my master, and do a lot of cutting out the quiet and mids to give myself room when the mix starts to get full. This is not a edge case type of thing, in my opinion. Harmonic split, similarly, this is only for like monotone single voice things that it'll work really well, but it does a similar thing where it splits a tone up into its harmonics, which are, once again, the thing that your ear can sort of use to distinguish the sound. And anything that isn't a harmonic is fluff. It doesn't mean that it's not part of the sound, and it doesn't mean that it doesn't give it like perhaps an analog or acoustic or space quality. It just means that it's not necessary for you to recognize it. So if you have a full mix, you can cut out the noms, or you can change the timbre a lot by messing with odds and evens. Really cool thing to be able to do. Basically, if the argument was that these are only going to be occasionally used, this was not the release to do it with. And if it was supposed to save people money, this was not it was a higher price, but that was not the price to go with. Okay, so moving on, the part where they, I would say, really showed their face, and by they I mean the CEOs and people in charge, and I don't know, whoever was able to make this decision. I don't think that developers or designers are to blame or be mad at, or that Bitwig itself is to be mad at. It's the people in charge. Anyways, they changed their phrasing on the thing that people had bought, perhaps up to 12 months ago, from future-proof, you get to have all the software updates, to future-proof, you get to have all the Bitwig Studio updates, which there's no reason to change that, except for to admit guilt to the entire world. Like, this is not going to hold up very well, I don't think, in terms of, like, if they try and use it as, like, no, it's just the Bitwig Studio updates. Whatever it is, like, it's shady, and a lot of people are saying this is fraud, and I agree that by any reasonable interpretation of all software updates, there was no reason to assume that certain plugins are software updates and then other ones aren't. So I don't think they're in a great space in terms of saying that this isn't fraud, and as such, a lot of people are like are saying that they want to either already have or are going to register it as fraud, in order to kind of hit them in the bank account, and make sure that, like, if they're making decisions based off of money, that there's at least a little bit of sting on this one. And I very much agree with this concept personally. Like, I guess time for me to say my opinion on where I fall in this whole thing, which I probably already did because I'm not a journalist, but I very much agree that like, yeah, I probably will put in a fraud notice if they don't do a little bit better and figure out how to fix the situation. And I mean, already they've made it clear that the people in charge are money motivated and at the expense of their customers, which is a bummer. On top of that, I've seen a lot of people being like, I can't use this software without being mad anymore. I really do want for those people, like, to tell them, like, you can, like, don't do that. Don't let this get between you and music. Like, what I'm probably going to do is not pay for updates for sure, for a while. Like, even if they try and rectify this, I'm going to make sure that at least whatever the total price of add-ons is, they make at least that much less money from me over the course of my relationship with Bitwig. And I'm going to probably just focus on using the tool that I have already, the amount of Bitwig. I love Bitwig, the tool that I have on my computer. It's wonderful. And using what I have and focusing on other ways that I can make my music better. Like, I don't really need any more tools. I would love to have more tools. The only thing that I've really lost in this whole thing is my hope and looking forward to what Bitwig was going to do, that's kind of gone. But the program I have on my computer still rocks, and I can still make amazing music with it and enjoy myself. And for anyone who's having a hard time with that, like, I think recognizing that there's a difference between enjoying the program and enjoying the future of the program, and where it's going. Like, don't let its future and the people who are in charge and the fact that good things come to end ruin that the good thing hasn't yet totally come to an end. And in fact, musicians in the past made better songs than I'll ever make with lesser tools. So, I mean, perhaps there's other things to focus on. I'm not going to upgrade for a while. I have seen some people talking about pirating. I suspect that that's going to happen a lot more. Frankly, I kind of like the idea of limitations breed creativity, so I might lean in that direction. But generally, yeah, there's going to be a bunch of fraud reports. I think there will at least be one from me, and they've really done a bad job in the upper management here, and it's too bad. But just because something's good doesn't mean it lasts forever, and I still get to have the program, and I still get to make music. So these things happen. Keep making music. Keep enjoying yourself. Don't let some greedy person that got into a position of authority they didn't deserve ruin your day. Cheers.